And welcome back to another episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's your host, Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus, here to bring you another episode. Today, interestingly enough, we have two different individuals. We have a special guest who's working on me on a different project to soon come out in the near future, Dalton.
Yeah, I saw it.
And a returning friend of the show, Manny.
Hey, ho, ho.
Santa?
Our Canadian Santa, if you could say the least. But I welcome you both to the show.
Thank you.
The rest of our team is currently busy since February, since seems to have been a rough month for a lot of individuals, myself included. I have only had 3 days off this entire month, so I am exhausted.
I had a week with no power.
You're in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, good guess. Sure. Let's get into some random stuff. So you at the time of this recording, it's been some time since that has passed. But yeah, the whole kind of weather freeze thing that happened recently. Dalton, how did that kind of affect you individually and kind of the people around you? And then compared to
it's some fucking bullshit is what it was.
So me and Manny are more up in the north. Me in the Pacific Northwest, and Manny up in the east west.
East,
or
yeah.
East west.
Northeast.
Northeast. Like, yeah.
What is east west? What direction is east west?
The
East,
middle, the center.
Dead center.
I mean
Center.
the northeast. My bad.
Dead center.
I'm exhausted. But yeah, so
Yeah.
we're go for it.
I'm right by Toronto.
So yeah, we're kind of more
Narnia.
So yeah, we're more accustomed to kind of these situations. My area still kind of freaks out when we get a little bit of snow, just a few inches, and people panic buy. That's why I've been busy, and mostly because no one wants to properly work in my place. So, but how was that? How was that situation down there for you? And for you personally, how did that did it affect you much, or?
Well, so power went out like Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, one of those. I don't know. Time has no meaning anymore. And then they had rolling blackouts. Supposedly, we'd have power for like an hour and then it would shut off. I had power for about a minute long intervals. And then after not even 2 months after moving out from my mother's house, I now have to go back there because I have no power, no heat. Me and my dog are freezing our asses off. And then like Thursday night, I got power back. And at that time, it was warmer where you are in Oregon than it was down here in Texas.
No shit. Okay.
This is why I live in the South to avoid this kind of bullshit.
Okay, then my question is, Manny, what was was there any like news of what was happening down? Well, yeah, there's always news, but how was the news up north from everything happening down here in the States?
We were kind of just like, when we heard, what the weather was and how much snow they got, we kind of just laughed it off. That's just a Tuesday for us, right? I'm kidding. Realistically speaking, we were up here. We were all seriously surprised at hearing the type of weather that you get, because when you think of Texas, you think of warm days, you think of barbecues, you think kind of always like this prolonged heat wave.
Yep.
Snow doesn't really come to mind. One of the things that someone brought up, and because there were some people talking about, like, especially at work, they're like, how the hell can Texas, a state so large, they have their own power grid, for goodness sakes, they have everything in the states, in that state. How is it that it's come to a standstill? Then you kind of got to remember. Sorry, what was your name again?
Dalton.
Dalton. My apologies. So Dalton, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? How many snow shovels do you own, and how long did it take for the snow plows to get on the street?
I don't think there's a snowplow in Texas.
Right, and
I
that's
don't know how
exactly.
they cleared it off the roads. Like it was
And
just it was piling up and then it wasn't there.
probably it
They
was
were just-
probably they probably retrofitted something, right, to make
They-
it like a snowplow.
So
But
they
Some
were
probably some
so-
redneck in a Jeep. Who knows?
Right?
So they were calling a lot of places from other states to go down help. I know they sent from our state. They sent a couple thousand people down there to go help.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like, because here's the thing. The thing about snowplows is you can actually just send the plow, right? Just the front part, and you can actually fit that into a Jeep, right? Redneck engineering at its finest, right? But realistically, you can do that. You can fix it up there, right? And it only takes a couple hours. So we kind of understood what what this brought to light, though, especially to a lot of Canadians, was that we learned that Texas actually has its own power grid, its own independent power grid, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that actually came to a surprise to a lot of people. Because you hear about rolling blackouts, there's not enough electricity. You ask yourself, like, but isn't there, like, the Eastern grid and the Western grid? But then it's like, no, there's also the Texan grid. So that kind of so that was a little bit of a shock to some people. Um, Generally, we felt bad, of course, right? But then we kind of started seeing the redneck engineering that came out of it. Things like people taking this because they were without water for some places. People were taking the snow, putting it in their toilet tanks, and letting it melt so that they can flush the toilet, right?
Smart.
And then, of course, the other news that Ted Cruz went to Mexico, right?
Oh, I still
I
love
mean,
that.
like,
This motherfucker.
right? Like, okay, so I want to put this in perspective for you, okay? Here in Ontario, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, in like at the beginning of the year, like pretty much all of 2020, he's been saying, stay home, don't go anywhere. If you're planning on traveling, if you want a summer vacation, take it to somewhere beautiful in your province. Rent a cottage or something. So a couple, like the Ontario Finance Minister, he took a vacation to down south somewhere. He went there for a week and a half. Now, keep in mind, this was his vacation. He paid for it with his money. This was like, like allotted vacation time, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came back and he got fired. He was forced to resign because, he was told, hey, you can't go, you're kind of not, you're not practicing what you're preaching,
Well,
right?
see, but here's the thing: you're as a Canadian, what your politicians don't understand is American politicians are all greedy and self-centered, and the American populace is stupid enough to keep voting for them.
Agreed.
I mean,
It's
Can
a
I
sad
just-
truth.
Like y'all seem to care about politics. 9 out of most Americans I know of don't give a shit until it becomes time for presidential elections.
I don't know. Even then, the only reason they were paying
even
attention.
then, even then, half of them only vote for whoever their family's been voting for the past 1,000 years.
That's a sad truth.
Land of the free.
Mm.
I mean, see, I agree with the land of the free part, right? There's a lot of restrictions here in Canada, where we can't move around as much or things like that. But for the most part, though, I mean, every nothing's back to normal, and it won't be for a while. When in the States, though, I mean, I see videos of basically Florida is just not giving a fuck.
Well, Florida.
But I feel that's Florida.
Florida never gave a fuck to begin with. Like it, people who were surprised about it never paid attention to the state.
Right? I know, like some of the best. Have you ever played this game, the Florida Man birthday game?
Oh God, that
Oh
doesn't
yeah, I've
sound.
heard about that. I've heard about that.
I have
so
not
this is-
heard about this.
So
What?
this is okay. So Jesus, if you have your phone on you or something on you right now, I'm gonna ask you to do this, and I'll start it. Okay, just go on Google, type in your
Okay.
birthday minus the year, right? So I'm putting in
Oh,
my
this.
birthday,
Okay.
and then
yeah.
type in Florida Man. Okay, and read the first headline. So, for example, me. Florida man believed he was half man, half dog. Florida man believed half man, half dog during attack. Florida man birthday challenge. So that's what we're doing. Florida man yells at an ATM. So that's the Florida man challenge. What did you get?
Okay, I'll go next. Florida man slaps girlfriend with cheeseburger, kicks her downstairs.
That sounds
Colon
like
police.
I got Florida man accused of starving dogs to death inside abandoned home.
Holy shit, yours is way worse.
Ours is whimsical and meth-induced. Yours is sad.
Florida man accused of breaking into multiple homes, eating victims' food.
That just sounds like poverty.
I mean, that sounds like... Yeah, no, mine seems to have a lot of really dark Florida man stuff.
Man, your birthday is not that great. Here, look at mine. The next one that comes to here's Florida man threatens to kill neighbor with kindness. In quotes.
Oh yeah, I've seen that article. It's like he wrote the name of kindness on some kind of weapon. I can't remember what it was.
It was a machete.
That's like literally those are mine.
I mean,
Florida man attacked gas.
Mine tracks for October, so.
Yeah. Florida man attacks gas station clerk with hot dogs, corn dogs, stick over beer. Cops say. Thank you, Florida man. You're the gift that keeps on giving. They are. They truly are. They truly are. And then you find out Trump is now a Florida man.
Well, to be fair, Trump's always been a Florida man. Let's be real.
Yeah, like the man made his money in New York, but he's like, that's the thing. Like I actually didn't find out that Trump was from Florida, like, or that's where he comes from, until the election. Like President Trump, the representative out of Florida. I'm like, I thought this motherfucker was from New York.
Nope.
Right? Yeah, because you associate Trump in New York, all right? But yeah, no, he's from Florida. So he is the final boss of Florida man.
Damn.
He's what happens if Florida man gets money.
Yeah.
That's yeah. All right. But yeah, going back a little bit back to kind of the Texas power grid, it seems like after like all the situations, a lot of people are now kind of suing the power companies because of the outrageous bills people have been getting for everything and that's been bonkers because I've never seen an electric bill go from a couple $100 to between $8,000 to $12,000.
Okay, so like the way that actually works.
Go for it. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of stuff about this. So the way Texas power is, like, it's considered one of the cheaper states to live in terms of what you pay for power, simply because our electricity bills are essentially run off of supply and demand. The more power we have in excess, the cheaper everyone's bills are. The less power is in excess, the more expensive they are, and that's what caused those bills to just skyrocket because ERCOT's a bunch of greedy bastards. And that's also why we have our own independent grid. But yeah, so like once all this supply and demand just skyrocketed, it caused that whatever algorithms running everything for the prices just go, oh, there's like no power. Well, time to start jacking up the prices to some ungodly level. But luckily, like my power, it's run through CPS. They're just like, yeah, you know what? We're not charging you all that. That's insane.
Damn.
Yeah. And here in Ontario, what we've done is, because like while the pandemic is on and we're still in state of emergency and whatnot, the power level is at what they would charge on like a Sunday night at 9 p.m. Like minimal charging, because we like during the day it costs more, right? Like let's say they charge $1.10 for whatever, and and Sunday night they'll charge you 30 cents, right? So everything's running at 30 cents all day.
Damn.
But fuck, man. I mean,
one more example of other countries doing shit better than mine.
Well, I mean, dude, it was released this week that Canada is actually the worst in unemployment in the G7, right? We have a 12% unemployment rate. We are
Jesus.
we are heavy in debt, right? And basically our travel and tourism industry is done. Like it's dead. Like at this point, like hotels are being used for quarantine hotels. Like here, I don't know if this is the case in the States, but like, um, okay, so Tyrant, do you want me to call you Tyrant? What should I call you?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
All right, Jesus, cool.
Yeah, that's
Kenny.
fine.
All right, so
No,
Jesus,
no.
yeah, let's say you came up here, okay? All right, let's say you took a plane, you got a job in Toronto, all right?
Okay.
So here's what you would have to do. You would have to take a COVID test before you leave. Makes sense. But
Yeah.
then you have to take a COVID test when you arrive, okay? But before you do that, though, you have to spend almost 2 weeks in a hotel that you have to pay for, right? Quarantining. So,
Okay.
so that means that like the first 2 weeks of your trip are a write-off, and you have to pay for that,
Okay.
right? So you can imagine why we're not exactly attracting people to come, and we're not even actually accepting non-nationals. At least I think that's the case so far. The other thing as well is that have you guys ever heard the term snowbirds?
No, not. I haven't.
Right. So what a
All I know is
snowbird
I'm
is?
not a fan of birds.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm sure you guys get some snowbirds down in Texas. So it's basically Canadians that travel down south for the winter, right? People, like they might have their
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they might
Okay.
have their house in Florida and maybe some in Texas, shit like that. And they just chill there, and then they come back up in the spring, late spring, summer. Well, what they've actually it's still open, right? But the people that don't have that, usually they'll take a vacation to Cuba, to the Dominican, to Mexico, right? That's sun vacations as we call them. They'll take them for a while. They'll take them for a week and a half. Uh, our prime minister actually told the major airlines, yeah, you guys ain't flying down there till like April, May. I'm not letting you. So,
Wow.
so even
Nice.
if you wanted to, and here's the thing, let's say you did travel to Cuba, right, or to the Dominican, you travel there. I don't know if there's quarantine laws there, but when you get back, even you as a Canadian, you still have to do that whole process I described to you earlier. So most people get, let's say you're on the good side, you get 3 weeks worth of vacation, right?
Hmm.
You're literally using up all your vacation, and 2 weeks of that is quarantining. Now there are
Yeah.
some exceptions, like if the test comes back negative, right? From the airport, you can actually spend 3-4 days. You have to spend 3-4 days in the hotel, and then you can quarantine at home, right? But I mean, it's still a lot of work, you know?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Yeah. It's actually. It's one of those things I've been thinking about because a few of my cousins are trying to plan a trip, and I told them like it's not a good year to plan a trip out of
No.
the train. Like you said, I think most countries are doing that. I know they are doing that between out of country stuff. I think state to state it's still normal, but I know, yeah. I'm telling them like, hey, if you're gonna fly out of country, and that's even if you're allowed to go into that country, that you're gonna be using up most of your time stuck in a hotel because you're gonna, yeah, it's not a good time. Like I've been trying to. I think I mentioned this most of the time. Like last year and this year, were gonna be my two big like out of country trips. Last year was supposed to be London. This year was supposed to be my Japan trip, but those were scrapped because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's arguments that I keep having with my mom because she hates staying home and she just wants to go do stuff. And I'm like, "Mother, where are you gonna go?" One,
like
no one's open. Two, if you go somewhere that is open, you've just skyrocketed your risk, and then you've just killed your own mother.
Hmm. The only thing I could think of doing for like at least for enjoyment, if you wanted to take a little trip, is kind of what one of my sister and my brother-in-law did. They just kind of went to kind of a local beach. I would say local, but it's kind of reasonably a good drive to kind of get away. And they kind of took a little a long weekend and rented a Airbnb and just kind of enjoyed the coast for the most part. It was chilly, but it was away from the norm. That's kind of the closest thing I would say if you wanted to just not be in your current situation. It's kind of just taking these small getaways. Um, that's because that's the most feasible way to do it. It's just to kind of still be quarantined in a sense, but be away from the norm that you have been for the last almost 12 months now. It's almost we're almost hitting the 1 year mark.
Well,
Year 1 of 2 weeks of quarantine.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The way that it was positioned originally was kind of bullshit. That, they're like, oh, 2 weeks or 3 weeks to flatten the curve. That's the model that you guys had down there. Up
Yep.
here, like when we heard that, we're like, are they out of their fucking minds?
Yep.
Right? Because that's not going to happen. I mean, it might be 3 weeks to get your ICU under control, right? But the general, curve is not gonna, right?
True.
And that's the thing. Um, there is, you know what though? There is one thing, and I don't want to dwell too much on the topic, but um, I read today in the news that you guys are getting your relief checks finally, the big one.
Wait, are we?
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
Well, it
Yeah,
passed.
same.
It's going to the House, right? Um,
Which
and
means nothing.
which no, it doesn't mean anything. But I saw it's $1.9 trillion, right? That's a lot of money. That's a shit ton of money. But then I see, only 1,600 is going to each and every one of you, and I'm like, that's good. That's really a lot of money. But then
No.
I read all the stuff that's in there, all the aid that's going to all these different countries. And do you remember back in like when Trump was still in office, he actually, had a meeting, had a press conference talking about like all the aid that's going all to all these other countries?
Yep.
No, I personally don't.
Yeah, he put it on his Twitter, which is now gone, which is good because that guy, fuck that guy in some ways. But I will say this though, I mean, like I'm not an American, so I don't have I don't have a horse in this race. But if that is true, I know that if this was happening in Canada, people would be up in arms and be like, why the fuck are you sending, like $50 million to programs, to like arts programs in Pakistan, you know? If true, of course,
Oh,
right? I mean,
okay, okay, yeah,
you
okay.
have to
Now
take,
I'm remembering this. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
you
I'm
have to
remembering
take,
this.
granted, take everything he said with a grain of salt, right? But like I saw that both the left and the right kind of like this was the first time in a long time that I saw people from the left and the right actually come together and be like, wait, that don't sound right, you know?
Yeah.
Right? And you know what? That's true. It doesn't. Like it doesn't. Like it should be like here in Canada, I'm sure you know that for during the so starting March of last year, all the way up to September, anyone who was jobless, they were getting 2 grand Canadian, right? Um
A
on top
month?
a month. Yeah,
Okay.
right? Um and if you owned a business, the government was paying for 80% of your rent. And if you had employees, you could apply and get a subsidy of up to 80% of their wages. So you don't have to lay them off or something, right?
You see, and
So
then we have down here where
yeah,
they're like, hey, we're going to lock down all these employees. We're going to do what's called furlough. You're not going
yeah,
to work. You're not going to get hours. We're not going to pay you, but you still technically have a job, so you can't get unemployment.
yeah. That's exactly what some places up here were trying to do. So they kind of tightened down on that. Um, so I mean, obviously, I'm sure that's contributed to our massive amount of debt, but I mean, it was a lifesaver for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Um, It was. So I kind of understand why some Americans were kind of like, some people who normally would not agree with Trump, like, who hate everything he says. I understand why they kind of changed their tune on that one article,
Yep.
right? I could see why, because like here, when we are, even though we got all these perks, right? If we were, if our prime minister said, yeah, I've allocated, $1 trillion, and 2/3 of that $1 trillion is going to foreign aid, I think that I think the premier of Ontario would have gone and physically fought Trudeau. Okay,
Well,
like
to be fair,
physically
there
assaulted.
was a group of Americans who did try to go fight Congress. They were just a bunch of idiots, and they were fighting for the wrong reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, like here's the thing: protesting is one of the best God-given rights you can have,
Yep.
but do it appropriately. Not
Yeah,
not the
don't stage a coup and then post videos of it on social media, then wonder why the FBI is on your doorstep.
that or that stupid ass woman who took Pelosi's laptop and tried to sell it to the Russians. I mean, I like I'm not I'm by
Oh
no
God.
means a lawyer, nor am I an expert on American law, but I'm pretty sure that's under the umbrella of treason
It is
Okay.
or
100%. And
espionage.
so what the FBI and other Homeland Security and all them are actually doing is they're finding a lot smaller charges to get the people first while they've been racking up all the evidence and trial and all this other stuff for the treason case, so they
Yeah.
can just detain them during the time.
You know what the best part about that little situation was on Twitter? Her ex-boyfriend from middle school and like tweeted, "Hey, I used to date her in middle school." And everyone just bonkers on Twitter from that.
Hey, I used to date her in middle. I don't know if I would go with I know her from middle school.
There's times where I wonder if I should just stay an American citizen.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand why you would say that. I mean, I
I know
still
we have a
don't.
lot of benefits, but I can't deal with their Jesus Christ.
there's a lot of pros and cons, and sometimes it just feels that the
And
cons
sometimes,
are the
yeah,
cons over. Yeah.
sometimes the cons are a lot farther and fewer between, but Jesus Christ, are they heavy?
They are. I mean, they are, sadly. I mean, granted, I still think there's no place like America. If I were to ever move out of my country, of Canada, I would go to the States. Heck, I've thought about it. I've talked about it with my wife, right? I grew up in the States, right? I grew up in New York. That's maybe why, maybe why you're hearing you might recognize a bit of a New York accent the way I enunciate some of my words. I learned to speak English there. Um, but like there's really no place for me like Canada. Canada's home.
Hmm.
That's how I feel about down here in Texas.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. I mean, like one of my neighbors, he got a relative from Texas and he showed up 2 summers ago. My God, can you motherfuckers barbecue? Jesus Christ. Like
Yeah.
there's
Hey,
some
how's it going?
I don't know what it is. It's like did you guys take like in primary school, were you guys like given 30 minutes a day on barbecue tactics? Like
What's
did an
primary
old
school? Is that elementary school?
elementary school, yeah, right? Like did like an old did an old dude show up, and tell you, this is how you barbecue, get slapped on the wrist, if you overcook the ribs. Like what the hell?
No.
What
So the way I do it is 100% just pure intuition. I am guessing 99% of the time whenever I'm barbecuing, and it just works.
Right? It's probably just in their blood.
Yep. It's ingrained into our very souls.
Getting back a little bit into the travel, there was a news article that I had about a couple that actually were trying to go to a trip to Hawaii. Hawaii right now is one of the few states that are kind of really, really pushing this kind of restriction stuff. And this couple, let's see here. like you mentioned, a lot of them you have to have like a test that proves that you don't have COVID, things like that. But these two couple, this one couple, let's see here. I'm not gonna reveal their names, or at least their first name.
If it's a news article, who?
Yeah.
cares?
Okay. So Jontrell and Nadia, both in their late 20s, from Louisiana, tried to go to Florida. Oh, no, not Florida, Hawaii. And while they were at the kind of what is that, the security check, when they were trying to get all the paperwork settled, they actually offered the screener $3,000 to let them go by.
Damn, that guy thought, or girl, or whoever they are, thought long and hard about that. Like I would have just gone to my boss and be like, "Hey, how bad is it if I take a bribe and it comes back that I'm the one who did it?"
Well, I mean, you don't say you take the bribe. Like, okay.
Well,
so,
no, you gotta, because it's gonna come up. Like someone's gonna figure out that it all traces back to you. So you got to figure out exactly what repercussions there are, and is
So-
it worth $3,000?
well, I mean, the instant you say, "Can I take a bribe?" you're automatically admitting guilt. Like, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission. All right? God, that makes me sound awful. But anyway, all right? That makes me sound awful. All right. But here's the way that I look at it. All right? If I was that agent, someone offered me $3,000, I would just simply say I would take it. I would just play along. I would just be like $3,000. I'd be like, oh wow,
I
okay,
see what
well,
you're doing.
I see what you, okay, no problem. Be like, oh, I'm looking at your test here. Sorry, I don't see, where it says that okay, it says here negative. All right, oh cool, okay, thank you very much. I would play it off like that. If it ever came back to me, I'd be like, I saw it said negative. Maybe I misread the test. I don't know. I'm sorry. I've never seen a test that looked like that. It just said negative to me, right? That's
Okay.
what I would play dumb. I would be like dumb as fuck.
See,
Right?
I thought you were about to take that a completely different direction, which was take the money and then make them leave.
Anyway, so yeah, the couple ended up getting arrested for bribery, and they'll be
Solid.
yeah, and I think they're getting. Let me look at this article really quick. They're getting fined $20,000 on top of that.
Hey, we're gonna give you $3,000. Hey, now you owe the government 20.
Yeah, the push for trying to escape. Like just go at this point, just go to Florida. Sounds like it.
Jesus.
Exactly, right? I mean, $3,000 will buy you will buy you an amazing night in Florida. I mean, could you imagine Florida with $3,000? Jesus. It's Florida, for fuck's sakes. I mean, I think the state bird is an alligator. You heard what I said. You heard what I said. Okay? And I stand by my statement because that's Florida.
Yeah. So yeah.
Back to Florida and just the crazy shit. I remembered this story. Apparently 2 women in Florida were dressing up as senior citizens so they could get priority for COVID vaccines.
Oh yeah. We can get a little bit into the vaccine. So for anyone listening, we had a recording earlier last week because I posted that I was going to answer a couple questions with our resident kind of expert about some questions that anyone asked me on Instagram. The issue that episode didn't come out was we were having a lot of technical difficulties and we were never able to properly record it. So I do apologize. We're going to try to get that episode out again in the near future. But yeah, kind of the I don't know how it is up in because I know every state's a little different, so I don't know how it is also in Canada with how things are rolling out.
Awful slow.
So but here also we so going so
Sorry to interrupt you, right? But I just want to put it in context, right? Last week, you guys vaccinated more people in one day than we've done since the beginning.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Solid.
Because I know, okay, going back to that story about the two women who disguise themselves as old elderly people. Okay, can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, and then I'll
Yeah,
go into my.
so they both of them, they're younger than the age of 45, and they disguise themselves to pass off as over 65, which was priority for Florida. And
Mm-hmm.
they succeeded to getting the first shot. So they both got the first dose. But then they got caught on the second one. One was 44 and the other one was 34. Yeah, no, and so like everyone's up in all kinds of uproar about the morality issues with it. And I'm just like, I mean, to be fair, of all things to
To be
try to
fair.
get a senior citizen discount on, at least they're doing it for health reasons.
True. So yeah, there's been a lot of stories like that where people have been trying to kind of, I would say, like worm their way into kind of some of the early ways to get these shots.
Wasn't there
Uh,
a story a few weeks ago where a wealthy couple traveled to a remote town in Alaska so that they can get the shots because they were vaccinating the whole village because there and that's what we're doing up here. We're giving priority to places, health units, and everything like that that are more remote because if they have an outbreak, they do not have the capabilities to handle an outbreak as much as like a major city. So we're vaccinated. So we're kind of we're working our way out inwards.
okay, yeah, that makes sense because kind of like mid pandemic, my actually no, before the pandemic started, my grandmother came to visit, and where she's from is a very small remote village. It's a really nice place to go visit because it's kind of still has that old cultured feel. But my thinking was, if anything were ever to happen like this, and someone got into the village, that village would be completely fucked. What ended up happening was probably once they were starting to let people travel again, someone actually went back to the village to go see family again, and they did have COVID, and that entire village got sick. Nearly a quarter of the people have sadly passed away in that village because of that one individual. And it was a very small, remote little village, and it's like in an area that, like you said, if there is no real help to get into that place, if there's nothing, and it's just like that one person's selfishness kind of screwed over the entire small town.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a special kind of dumb to do that. I mean, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
I'm
but
talking
yeah,
I'm talking like like inexcusably dumb, like like trip over a cordless phone type dumb.
because they were
Welcome
doing
to
fine.
America.
No, that was Mexico. Oh well, it was someone from America going to Mexico. But yeah, no, they were doing perfectly fine because for the most part they were self-sufficient enough where you could survive okay without any outside help. And they were doing fine since it's, like I said, it's a very small isolated village, and they were like, no one was leaving the town, very little contact with the outside world for the most part, until like this one individual came who had it, and it kind of really, and it's a lot of older people too. So yeah. But going back to kind of how people have been trying to get the vaccine, I know a lot of individuals who have been using their kind of like their connections to people who are in the medical field to kind of weasel their way in to get the vaccine. I know personally like 4 different individuals who have gotten the vaccine just because they know someone who knows someone.
I get it. I get it. I totally get it. You know what? And I gotta end here. I'll be straight with you. My father's he's a senior citizen, okay? And my mother's a senior. She's technically a senior now. If I knew someone in the medical field and they said, "Hey, buddy," they're like, "Hey, man, I can get your parents to the top of the list, just slide me a couple hundred. I'm running to the bank machine to give this man a couple hundred right away. Yes, I'm sure there are some ethical dilemmas, but you can't put a price on peace of mind,
Right.
I don't
right?
disagree with you. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, people will be up in arms. Like people will say something like, oh, they should have waited, or fuck you, you're using your privilege of, of having money and your privilege of, having, knowing someone in the field. I would just turn around and be like, yo, fuck you.
Fuck you.
That,
Fuck yeah,
that,
I'm going
yeah,
to.
that would be it. Be like, fuck you. You would do the exact same thing. And if you don't do the exact same thing, A, you don't care about your parents. Two, you just do not give a fuck about it, or you just don't give a fuck about anything, right? So, like, seriously, go fuck yourself. This is in no way harming you, right? It's not like, those two doses, it's not like, that dose that I get, that was given to me, that's been given to one of my folks, right? It's not like that dose literally someone was waiting for. It's not like it's a fucking kidney. It's not like I use my influence to intercept a kidney, right? They'll literally, at worst, they'll have to wait another day or two, because if that person was supposed to get it and someone else got it, right? That person's still on the list. It's not like, they went in and took their number, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it as well. It's like, if you're jumping a line, if you're not like taking it like that would literally save someone else's life, I don't think it matters that much, because eventually it's still going to get out there. It's not like you said, it's not like someone's is on a waiting list for a transplant of any kind and you just hop ahead. Like half of my dad's side of the family, I don't think any of them are actually healthy enough to receive the vaccine and it go okay.
Hmm.
Because both
Yeah.
of my grandparents on that side are over 80 years old, and they've been told by their doctor, you probably shouldn't get it. My stepmother has an autoimmune disease where her immune system's fighting itself, so she can't get it. And so then if my dad gets it, there's a chance he could wind up giving it to my stepmother, and my dad's already got 13 pills a day he takes.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's just like,
no, I understand. I mean, I hear you, right? I mean, plus, of course, the microchips inside the vaccine, right?
Yes.
oh yeah,
Yes, exactly. It is. Yeah, everyone has to remember. Everyone has to remember those microchips. People just don't
Right?
understand that
but
that's a real truth that you have to.
I
mean,
know, like,
I was
fuck,
in the military, so like I've already got every single microchip the government made in the past 50 years inside my body as it is, so it's fine.
right? Like,
There are.
could you imagine, like, you're entering in, you go to Bing.com, and all of a sudden, without realizing, you've typed in Google.com,
Oh my
like,
god.
fuck, like you break down in physical pain if you come near an Apple store, right? So fuck, it's
Like, and then next thing you know, you can't even use Chrome anymore. You're using Microsoft Edge.
Oh.
nah, Internet Explorer. If you get, yeah, man, if you get the the Great Value brand, vaccine, you got Internet Explorer.
The internet browser that doesn't exist anymore.
It does. It's still there. Like, so you use Edge, but if you still type in Internet Explorer in your search bar, it's still there. You can use it. It's just the Windows
would
pretty much
you?
tells you, like, why? What's wrong with you, man?
Damn.
Jesus.
But okay, go to kind of close off. Has there been any word in your area? Because this recently, my workplace has kind of now started implementing kind of a list for, like, because we're technically we're considered essential workers, and we're now finally in the point where we're able to get on a list to get our shots finally. I just found out about this as far as this recording this morning. So now I'm on a list to wait for my shots, and they've given us.
On a list. He's gonna put us on one too.
I wish. Yes.
So-
Go for it.
So here's the thing. Right now, essential workers are considered, basically people that work in nursing homes, and health professionals. That's what we have going on,
Oh, so
right?
that's what you guys consider essential
Yeah,
workers?
that's what we're
Interesting.
having now. Now we have other people labeled essential workers, like grocery store workers, people on the front line, stuff like that, right? What's going on though is that, like I said, there's not been enough vaccines, right? There's just not enough. So, um, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. In fact, you remember I told you I used to do, my part-time gig was doing Uber delivery?
Yes, I remember that.
So Uber actually sent a letter, an open letter or whatever, to the prime minister, sorry, to the premier, and said like, "Yo, like these guys are out in the front lines. They should be getting the vaccine, on the next round of non-essential, of the second essential workers, like sub-essential or whatever, right?" And like so far, it's like, nah, fuck you, bro. That's pretty much the answer that we're getting. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get a vaccine until I'm gonna, like, realistically speaking, the fall. The fall.
Okay.
I won't even be eligible until the fall. Because right
Oh,
now, people can go into a portal and they can enter, if you're 80 and over to get a vaccine. Then they're gonna do like 75 and over, then 70 and over, 65, 60, 55, 50, 45, 40, 35,
Jesus.
and so forth. And
okay.
I guarantee you there's going to be some sort of provisioning where, like, some places are going to require a COVID. Like, let's say you want to travel to, fuck, I don't know, Dominican. There might be something like, oh, prove that you have a COVID vaccination, right?
You got
And
to show
then,
them that microchip.
exactly, right? They got to scan you. Um, so at that point, though, it's probably going to be, they might actually show, like, have to pay for it. Here, if you want to go on vacation, the government won't pay for your COVID test. You have to pay for that COVID test out of pocket if you're using it for something, that you have not been approved for. So, like, if I show symptoms of it, my doctor can say, go get a COVID test. Of course, it's free. But if I say, hey, I need a COVID test because I'm traveling, they won't pay. I have to pay for it out of pocket. So I get the feeling like, to skip the line, there might be like a sub market where it's like, yeah, you can wait to get it, or if you want to get it tomorrow, this clinic has a, small supply and their fee is, 480 or something, right? So that's something that I could see potentially happening. Right. I mean, it's just so much shit going on.
Shit. Yeah.
Luckily, I don't have a job, but the government does give me money for going to school. So until I'm one of the people where, unless someone tells me I need to go get the vaccine, I probably won't. Not because I believe in microchips and all this other stuff like half the other Texans do. Just simply because I'm lazy and I don't want to leave my apartment. And so unless my doctor calls me and goes, "Hey, you need to go get this vaccine, otherwise we're going to disable your benefits," I'll be like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, but like,
Just because
I
like
don't
I don't
know.
go anywhere. I don't interact with people, so my risk is so much lower than the average person's because they're going to work, they're interacting with other coworkers and whatnot.
Do you
Give it
guys
to
have,
them.
are you guys getting news about the variants down there? Like the UK variant, the South Africa variant, the Brazilian variant of the disease?
Uh,
Are you guys,
I hear about it, but I don't pay
yeah,
attention to it.
yeah, same. I've only heard about it. There's like I haven't heard like specific news. This is where my our expert kind of comes along and answers our questions
you know,
here.
okay, so just on the surface here, okay? Just bear with me. Do you remember um Trump was called racist for referring to it as the China virus?
Yep.
I remember. Yep.
Isn't it also racist to refer to it as the UK virus, UK variant, South African variant, Brazilian variant?
Um, I don't think so.
Obviously,
I,
it's not because it's mostly referring to white people.
I don't know about the Brazilian variant, but I think it's more determined because it's a variant, like it is a different strain. Unless they were going to call it like COVID-19A, COVID-19B, and things like that.
Yeah, right. I mean,
my thoughts on it are, it's not racist because a Republican didn't say it, because Americans love to be at each other's throats
yeah,
99% of the time.
yeah, you guys really, really love your politics becomes almost a fucking cultist.
Yeah.
Almost becomes a
No,
cult.
100%. It's literally like a Real Housewife show. That's all our politician. All our
Yeah.
politics is.
Like legit, like any other, okay, well, I can only speak for Canada, but like most people have you're either a conservative or you're a liberal, right? Think of your liberals as Democrats, your conservatives as Republican,
Yep.
right? Think it like that. But, and we also have, other parties, NDP and the Green Party. So those are the major parties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm either a liberal or a conservative, but that's it. It doesn't become part of my personality, like how sometimes it becomes in the States. That's just my political affiliation, right? And and that's the thing. Like I could talk to someone at work for hours, and I do not know whether or not they are, liberal or conservative. Why? Because it's not ingrained. It's not something that's right in their personality. But some Americans that I've spoken to, it's like when I talk to them, I'm like, this motherfucker's a Democrat, right?
Yep. Yeah, you'll figure it out within minutes for most of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of the people who I don't align myself with any kind of political affiliation because I don't agree with everything that any of them say. Like I sway back and forth depending on whatever topic someone's talking about.
And I think that's one of the best ways to go along with go with it. It's like you got to just come to a consensus, your own consensus, not the group consensus. And I think that's always been one of the issues. It's always been this group thinking. Like if you have to kind of, and I'm the same as well.
That's what it is. Like
anyone I meet who defines themselves by one group that they're affiliated with, I immediately hate them. Whether it's, oh, I'm a part of this church, and that's 90% of my personality. Well, I hate you. But it doesn't matter if it's like Christian, if it's a temple. I don't care if that's 90% of your personality. You're boring, and I hate you.
Exactly, right? Like here's the thing. If someone is like a hardcore Christian, someone's a hardcore Methodist, voodoo, God knows what else, right? The extent that I would want to have a conversation about it is be like, hey man, is there something that I could no, let me restart. If there is something I say that offends you, be blunt and tell me that I offended you, right? Yep. Hey, if I ask you to go grab a beer on a Sunday, but Sunday's kind of a taboo issue to you, I just want to know it's a taboo issue so I know not to ask you in the future, right? That is the extension that I want to know about your religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the extension that I want you to tell me about your religion. If I want to know more, I'll ask. I'll Google.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's kind of
that doesn't exist down here in the South. It's I'm a Christian. I'm gonna tell you why I'm a Christian. Then I'm gonna tell you how you not being a
Sweet
Christian.
Lord, baby Jesus.
You're gonna burn in hell.
I think that's kind of the way we run the show as well. We kind of like we always ask our guests. You've known this, Manny, that we kind of always like at least ask our guests if there's certain topics and things that they do not wish us to kind of bring up, and that kind of helps always. And we've never been, even though we've been getting to kind of we've been dipping our feet in some political topics. We're not really a political show. We've just been showcasing more of the kind of the stupidity of the situations that has caused. And I think that's always what I've always wanted this show to be. It's just like, hey, look, people are fucking stupid, and this is why. And that's why I enjoy doing this. And luckily, unfortunately, almost every guest I've had has always had the ability to kind of just go along with it. And we've had some fun discussions along the ways. Right. Dalton being here his first time to kind of fill in some gaps into this hope he's been having some fun times just shooting the shit here.
Yee.
right? I mean, for sure.
No,
I mean, so it's a lot of fun discussing these topics. I mean, granted, we've not even scratched the surface, and there's a million things we can talk about. I mean,
come on, we need those. We need the Chinese snow and the Jewish space lasers to come. And those are real articles out there.
Oh my god.
hold
I
on.
hate this country so much sometimes.
I mean, okay, so let me
Okay,
tell you.
what? What do you want to know?
So I remember I told you I lived in the States, right?
Yeah.
As a kid, I grew up when Reagan was in power. Okay,
Oh damn.
the closest thing I know about, I was a kid, like I was like 5, right? The only thing I know, biggest controversy I know about Reagan was the Star Wars program. Do any of you know what that is?
I've heard of it, but can you kind of elaborate a little bit for the
Basically,
audience?
he wanted to put lasers up in space for defense reasons.
Yes, I remember now. Yes,
Yeah,
and now we
so
have a space force.
exactly. You know what? Actually, that low key, I'm telling you right now, Trump is a closet Trekkie. He is 100% a closet Trekkie. He will never admit it. He will release his tax returns in a PDF file to every major news organization, right? Before he publicly admits he's a Trekkie. Okay? Because there's no way that he is not. When you look at the symbol, what are they what are the fucking like, they're not at officers, they're called guardians, right? The symbol looks identical to it, to Space Fleet, right? Like even his whole pitch and the whole way that it's presented, it's like what what? You know? Like, are you afraid that the fucking Q and even the Q? I mean, granted, he started the wrong Q program, right? When you guys watch Star Trek?
I did when I was younger.
Do you know who
It's
the
been a
Q
while.
is?
No, it's been
Remember,
a while.
they're the beings that literally can do it. They're gods, basically.
I literally have
The
to
Q,
would
yeah.
have to.
So yeah, they're the Q. Granted, Trump got the wrong Q to go with him, right? You know, like he's probably afraid of Klingons invading or something, right? But I get why he did that, right? I totally get it. I totally get, like I mean, I don't know if you guys have been following the news, and again, this is me in my tinfoil hat coming out, but I think that the revelation of alien life is soon upon us.
Oh man, we need to
yeah.
get you on our.
It's either about to just spring up out of nowhere, or it's going to become like a incident from Halo before they met the Covenant, where the Space Force is literally just stopping rebel factions.
Maybe,
Hmm.
right? But so I think personally, because I read a report, that some experts and say that that they can conclude that some of the things that they have recovered were not made on Earth, right? I completely agree with that. Like I think that that's what's going to come out. That there's going to, I would not be like, I have this idea of how it's going to be revealed. I personally, if it was going to be revealed in the previous administration, I think that he probably would have brought along I think he probably would have brought along all former presidents to stand on one stage and announce that. Right?
I don't know. I think if Trump knew that we had evidence of alien life, he would have just tweeted it.
No,
Like,
you know
he would
what?
have just taken a picture of the documents and sent it on Twitter.
Right? I know. Him with Kim Jong Un, both giving the thumbs up on it, right?
Yeah, they're both like, yeah, no, it's legit, not hacked.
Yeah, he gave Kim Jong Un the nuclear football just to pose with it, right?
No cap.
Right, no cap, right? But that's what I mean, right? It's like I know it's coming, and I guarantee you, they probably if there is, they probably kept it from him because he is a loudmouth New Yorker.
Yep.
Okay, that's the truth. Trump is a loudmouth New Yorker at heart. I've met them. I've seen them. I grew up with them. They are brash, right? And you know what? If he would have known, he probably would have said it, or that might have been one of the few things that he's keeping to under his vest, right? Straight up, I mean, like the Drake equation says that we're not, right?
Yeah.
That we are not alone. And I get it, right?
You
And
know
I
what?
understand. Umao was the first, item that we have observed supposedly that did not originate, in the Oort cloud or in the Kuiper belt. It didn't come from there because most of the meteors, most of the things that we do see come across, they originate from there, right?
Oh, yeah. Talking about
Right.
that, you said you had a little experience with a green meteor.
Oh yeah, Abin Sur showed up. No, well, actually, that's how it started. No, no. Last
Like
night
what?
yeah, last night here in the East Coast, as I was driving home, there was a green meteor in the sky, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I thought at first it might have been a firework or something. So I pull over, and I turn to the guy because someone else pulled over too, and I turn. I'm like, "Yo, you see that?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I saw that green meteor." This first thing I do, I go on Twitter, type in meteor Toronto, go to latest, right, and there I see people tweeting about it, like anyone see a green meteor? What the hell was that? And then within an hour or two, the CN Tower, which is like, the largest structure here in Canada, they have cameras running all the time, capturing weather and shit like that. They caught the green meteor. Then, places like up in Michigan and shit like that were coming out like, yeah, we saw the green meteor too.
Oh wow. Okay, cool. I gotta look
Yeah,
that up. I might use that as the image for for this episode.
right?
You
Yo,
sure
Um,
you don't want to
Zack
use a
Snyder
picture
is
of someone's ear next to a can of soda or something?
what?
Just someone listening to a can of soda as it's being opened? Because that one, my
me.
brain still
Oh, yeah.
broke from that.
No,
Oh, that I can hear that.
Yes, it's fucking crazy.
that still gets
You're
you.
absolutely insane.
We
There's
should.
no way
We need
you
to.
can.
We
I'll
should,
test it right now. I will go open up a can and I want to see if you can tell me what it is.
Oh,
ooh,
can't do
Because
that.
you don't know me, you don't know my preferences.
that'd be funny as fuck. He
You
gets a
know what?
Lacroix.
Let's
He'll
try.
get a
Let's try.
Lacroix. He'll surprise you
Let's,
with a Lacroix.
let's try. Let's see if I'm in the ballpark.
All right, let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay, go. That was a pop can.
Okay, I
Um,
don't know what pop is.
soda.
Soda.
There you go.
That was a soda can, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that sounded really familiar. I'm gonna say it probably was a Pepsi. It didn't have as much carbonation on the pop, so it might be like a diet type,
You were right about the soda.
right?
It is a Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
Yeah, and Dr. Pepper doesn't have that much carbonation.
I fucking hate that you could tell how much carbonation is in it.
Yeah,
I hate that so much because that doesn't make any fucking sense.
yeah. Like, go ahead, pour it into a glass, right, and you'll see that it won't foam up as much, like a Coke or a Pepsi or something, right?
So for anyone listening, the reason this conversation started because before we started the recording, early in the episode where we usually grab something to drink and so on and stuff, and I grabbed a sparkling ice, which is a carbonated sparkling water, flavored water, and I popped it open, and Manny was almost able to guess what I was drinking, and that's how this little this situation has sparked up. It's pretty funny.
Right.
But that is a very interesting trick, mostly from sound.
Right. Nah,
Um,
you know what? I am actually in the wrong field of work. You know why? And this is something I didn't even know this existed until like 2019. I should have been a perfumist.
ooh,
Me,
a,
because
a nose.
I I have an incredible sense of smell. Like I've always had it, and I'll share something that's kind of gross, but I've always been able to smell when women are on their period. I know
Oh,
it's gross. I know it's gross, right? But I just smell it. Like I can, I could, I know the smell, right?
okay.
Like I can tell, like I can smell from like I can sense, if like there's something burning in the house, I'll be the first one to kind of smell it, right? As far as my hearing goes, like my wife gets annoyed with how acute my hearing is. Like like I can hear people talking upstairs. Like I can hear, and I'm in the basement. I can hear like just different things, right? And like, but what's weird about my hearing is that sometimes it'll come in muffled, but the point is I'm aware of that noise. So it's
Hmm.
kind of but I'm blind as a fucking bat. Like I need like super, yeah. So that's
All
it.
your
So
senses have been concentrated to hearing and smelling.
hearing and
See, and then there's
smelling.
people like me. I I was a ranch hand for a summer at one point, and so the smell of horse piss and all the ammonia has weakened my sense of smell to where it's virtually non-existent. My hearing is bad enough to the point where I am borderline on the need for hearing aids. I'm 25, and as soon as it gets nighttime, I can't see anything, and if it's farther than like 10 feet from me, I can't read it.
Damn. I thought I had it bad. Okay.
And then there's
Well,
superhuman freaks like him.
Well, I mean, the only freaky thing about me is just everything else, right?
okay.
No, that's what I mean. It's kind of
No, but
always been a bit.
it is an interesting thing. I personally also have kind of a slightly higher height in my smelling. It helps a lot when I'm trying to eat foods because I can kind of really tell when food gets sour really quick. It's not helpful when there's a bunch of people in the room. One of the curses of having a higher smell. My hearing has deteriorated. In the last few years, mostly because I've been more listening to heavier music. So that has not helped my hearing at all. Also,
I got tinnitus now.
yeah, I think I'm getting to the point of getting tinnitus. That's kind of been.
Oh, but
one
it's so
of
fun whenever you get those random ringings for no reason.
Right? You're just like,
uh,
what the fuck where's this coming
yeah,
from?
yeah.
Right?
I'm on the verge of tinnitus. I get those little rings, but not as often as I hear. I always thought I had a bad tinnitus because of that ringing in the ear. But when I kind of learned a little bit more, it's like I'm on the verge of tinnitus. Like I don't get it as bad as other people do.
Yeah, for me, if I'm in any kind of quiet room, it's always there. Whether it's active or not, I can always just very faintly just hear it.
Yeah, it's always, it's something I've learned to live with, and you have to learn to train your brain to ignore it. And maybe that's how how my hearing has gotten so acute, is that I've trained my brain to ignore to ignore that noise and let in a lot more outdoor noise just to overlap it, right? And maybe that's why, you know?
Okay, sweet.
Hey, listen, full disclosure, I do have to go in about 5 minutes or so.
Perfect. My timer just came up, and we're just towards the end of the show.
Right. I apologize about that.
No, actually, no, that's perfect. Like literally, that my timer went up to like we're gonna close up. We're gonna close up right about now, so it's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. There's really, and unless anyone has another topic they would like to discuss within the
You know
last
what?
few minutes,
We don't.
That would only take a couple minutes.
It would not either, right? I mean, I started watching WandaVision,
Same.
and so one of my theories went semi-viral on Reddit, and to the point where one of the have you ever heard of this guy Ryan Airy on Screen Crush?
The name sounds really familiar.
Yeah,
I've
so
heard
he
Screen
even
Crush.
yeah, so the guy that does like the breakdowns after the episodes, Easter eggs, all that stuff, he actually used part of my theory in one of his videos, so that was pretty cool.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, like basically just you know what? I don't have time to get into it. I'm kind of more interested in the Jewish snow. I
Okay,
mean,
that's another topic. Okay, you know what, Manny,
yeah.
we need to get you back because we're gonna actually have a conspiracy episode.
Oh,
All
dude, I'm there. I mean, I will wear
all
my
right.
tinfoil hat.
So yeah,
I've become a conspiracy theorist, dude.
okay. So I'll message you because
Yeah.
a lot of our audience have been waiting for that. It's kind of been on the back burner because of this month's just been crazy, and our other guests who are going to be in it's kind of also been having some issues. But March for sure. March is going to be the episode. Everyone listening, March will be the episode. It's going to be released. It's probably going to be towards the end of March because trying to get everything scheduled. But yeah, Manny, I will keep you informed because yeah, conspiracies are kind of fun to talk about and stick them up. But yeah, we'll get on with that.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's end it there. Manny, Dalton, thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Convoluted Podcast. Is there anything you guys would like to shout out before we close up?
Well, I'm thinking about starting my own party. It'll be much like, the Democrat Party, but you got to have 12 inches, of penis to join. So it's only me and maybe Mandingo.
Dalton?
I do not. I am still trying to figure out how I'm going to build my own online presence, so I have nothing to shout out.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say, Dalton, are you joining that party? I mean, do you accept 14 inches? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, does that have to be 12 exactly, or can it go over?
Yeah. 12 exactly on the dot.
So everyone listening, look forward to our conspiracy episode. It's going to be a special bonus episode. Manny, I have a few things I want to talk with you a little bit after this recording, but everyone look forward to the project me and Dalton and a few other people are working on that's going to be in the near future, going to be coming out in the near future. But yeah, so everyone, thanks again for listening. Until next time, see you.
Bye.